morning, it's Brian here. Right, we are on the Dojo and we are talking to my good friend Rob, and I want to talk to you about a very special company, phenomenal investment opportunity, but much more importantly, a phenomenal investors club. And I love this. I have seen over the last 2 to 3 years the advent of incredible investor clubs, which are like minded people that get together and look for amazing alternative asset investment opportunities. And I had the great pleasure of meeting Rob through Isabel, and he came around the dojo, and I saw everything that he's building in Goldfingr, and I absolutely love it. I actually loved it so much that I got my startups pitching there, and actually we've arranged an event there, which right in this moment, we've got Galib, who's one of our investment team, outreaching to our investors to come onto the Goldfingr platform so that they can hear our startups pitching when they do there. That's how much I like Rob, and that's how much I like his platform. But Rob, can you share a little bit with us the genesis of why you decided to build this platform and what you want to create? I feel like there's going to be hundreds of thousands of investors all getting together for the betterment of their own investment decisions and being able to get access to some of the greatest deals in the world. But fill us in on a little bit of this.
Thank you so much, Brian, for your kind words and introduction. I mean, it's multifaceted, but I'm the founder CEO of Goldfingr, with the first virtual global investment club and mastermind network. We started in 2014. Now everyone is, basically trying to get their head around how to operate in this virtual space. And there's different communities that have popped up, different virtual clubs, for example, like Lunch Club and Clubhouse recently that soft launched back in April. But what I've been preaching for the last 6 years is, for example, with Harvard Club or Annabelle's or any, let's say, private club, social club, people go there for multiple reasons. One is, well, they're not going there at all right now because of COVID. First off, the value is not in the venue; the value is in the people.
Right.
And so people go there because they know they can be around like-minded people. It's somewhat vetted; it's not necessarily vetted completely, right? And then one thing I've found through the years, well, multiple things. First off, is everyone's either looking for capital or looking for deals, and even nowadays, our typical type member is doing maybe he's a lawyer, maybe he's an artist, or she has a startup and is also a VC or something, right? I mean, everyone's wearing multiple hats, which is great. But what I found is there's no continuity between, it's all segmented and siloed. So first off, the investment experience, generally speaking, is archaic, meaning the fact that investors are still looking at deals through emails it's very surprising to me. It's a bad experience. It's very time consuming. I could go on and on.
Hallelujah.
And for example, like with Expert Dojo, for example, you guys have a great organization. I mean, you guys are killing it. 60 deals already this year, looking at expand to 200 this next year. Well, typical use case in your situation, what happens? You do a lot of the heavy lifting, you do the vetting, you deploy capital, you get the companies to a certain stage. And what's needed? Well, the companies need everything. Whether I've seen some of your deals that are great in India or UAE, they need to scale a different market. Well, it's all relationship based. It's not LinkedIn. You're not in the funnel on LinkedIn. You're trying to sift through the noise. Number one. Number two, there's the communications is horrible in LinkedIn, right? And LinkedIn's very successful for what they do.
Yeah.
Majority of people on LinkedIn are looking for capital. And then if you go into, your companies, they need more money, and then they're going to get to a certain point, hopefully, and then they're going to need more money. So there's full life cycle in investment. It's an ongoing process. It never stops. And then most importantly, what I found through the years is, like, let's say, what happens if you're an investor, you're an entrepreneur, you make a lot of money, and then I know friends of mine that are investors and lost a lot of money recently with COVID. But then you realize there's more to life than just money and just the deal, right? And if you're not aware that we need major social change and global change right now, I mean, something's wrong with you. You need to wake up, right? And this has come to a head over a period of time. So it said, hey, why not roll out a network, right? A platform that has we don't just invest in impact deals as an organization. We're impact because we're about making a difference with not only helping the companies, the startups, right, giving something back. Like you guys are amazing because you're doing women-owned startup, minority-owned startups. I always say right now, there's three things in this market from what I see. If you're not doing it, you're going to have major problems moving forward. And that is if you're not innovating, number one, if you're not collaborating, and and the second and the third being if you're not doing something that's sustainable or impact, meaning giving back in some capacity, whether it's minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, or sustainability for the planet, you're gonna have some major issues as a business, right? So we combine all these different things and integrated 11 principles into our platform. Yeah.
100% agree. And I've experienced the platform and I've seen the platform, and you arrange incredible events on the platform with phenomenal speakers who talk about it. And I agree with you. You know, folks used to believe they went to a place because of the place. But in reality, you don't go to Soho House because Soho House is the most beautiful location. It's not. There's more beautiful locations than Soho House in Wiltshire. You go there because of the people that are in Soho House and the people that you want to surround yourself with. And it's exactly the same with an investor club. I find most of the most successful investors, I don't want to speak for them, but many of them don't even do it for the money. They do it because they love the game. But they don't love the game of losing money, right? And they don't love the game of getting shitty deals. They love the game of being involved with other phenomenal professionals who have equal skills, maybe in different areas where those skills can actually be shared. And where I find Goldfingr really comes together is that incredible network that you've built over the years, whether it be the Brock Pierces or the folks outside blockchain and straight finance or the people who are in the tech space, and then pulling it all together in one space and saying, okay, guys, this is your ecosystem. You never need to go anywhere else for anything else. We can do your events here. We can do your deal rooms here. We can do your demo days here. Like whatever you need, it's going to be done on this platform.
Yeah, well, thank you, Ron. Yeah, it's always a work in progress, right? We're just obviously making it, better and better and better, especially with COVID. Like, there's certain things in the tech that we've done, and more features and more releases and more rollouts, of course. But yeah, it's a very, very simple concept. I mean, meaning the mastermind principle is whenever two of the minds work, together in harmony, the key's in harmony, a third mind is created exponentially greater than the sum of its parts. Now, so for example, you have your network, you're super connected. I have my network. I have other members. All our members are super connected. Well, what's happening is everyone's doing it in siloed around the world,
right.
and they're innovating, and ultimately everyone has. Let's talk about broadly the same type of agenda. Okay, let's do something positive. Let's do some positive effect on the world. Let's make some money. Let's create a successful business. Investors want to get let's say an ROI, meaning it could be return on impact or it could be return on investment or both, right? But when you combine these different pockets and everyone working collectively together, that's how you actually get better results, exponentially better results, and exponentially, better, more impact with the planet, right? So
I agree with you, and I really like the fact that you bring the planet into it. I consider myself a pure conscious capitalist, which really puts me at odds with everybody. Really, it puts me at odds with the Democrats and puts me at odds with the Republicans. I kind of sit in this weird place where I absolutely believe that we should make enough money to not be miserable. Right? I won't say to be happy because it doesn't bring you happiness, but it can help you avoid misery, right? If you're not sleeping on the street, it puts you a step closer to avoiding misery. If your kid can afford to go to school and can eat food, it's a step closer to avoiding misery, and et cetera, et cetera. So I love entrepreneurship for that reason. And I also love the idea of being able to invest for that reason. And it's also why I struggle, by the way, so deeply with the entire US process of so many people not being allowed to investing and even have this entire accredited or unaccredited area. It just seems so horrible to me and so archaic that a poorer person is not able to create enough money for themselves that they can actually get themselves out of poverty in the future. And they have to continue on paying the maximum amount of tax to Uncle
Yeah.
Sam to try and do it. And look, America's not the only place that encourages this, but I really believe in conscious capitalism. And I think when you take a platform like yours that says, we want everybody to be an investor, and we want everybody to understand all of the different alternative asset classes so that you can make the right investment decisions. And we want to surround you with other investors who are really smart people and they probably know stuff that you don't know. And then we're going to bring even smarter investors in and they're going to talk about their investment criteria. And we're going to circle it all into one community where this is the place where you can grow. And whatever you want to grow, it just has to be based in goodness, right? If it's based in badness, you're out of the club, right? But if it's based in goodness, and goodness can be, you want to better yourself as a human being, great. You want to better the planet by investing in impact companies, great. You want to invest in women-owned companies and equal the playing field a little bit, or minority companies, great. Or you just want to make more money for you and your family and you want to do it in a non-harmful way that makes you a better person, great. Like all of these things, collaboration, to your point at the very beginning, is absolute key as long as it is contextually curated collaboration. Collaboration between the right people with a very defined goal. And I think that's where Goldfingr nails it. And look, I said it to people all along. I think, and we're telling our investors to do it. Folks should come on. They should join onto your platform. They should get access to deals. Startups should come on. They should showcase themselves on your platform. There are tens. Is it still tens of thousands, or are you in the hundreds of thousands space? I know you have so many investors that are in your community.
So we have in our AI matching engine, which we developed, we have over 100,000 investors.
Wow.
In that. So angels, VCs, funds, family offices. So one of the things that we created was so the stats are that the entrepreneurs statistically spend 70% of their time raising capital. Now, how are they doing it? Well, there's only a certain amount of options. So meaning you're either chasing down people on LinkedIn, or you hire an investment bank or a deal maker, which has high retainer fees. You go through an incubator and accelerator, which is great. It depends on, but you're only eligible for that if you're at an early stage, right? Or you put your deal on a static platform, like AngelList or Outcrowd or what have you, and that's it, basically. So people are spending all their time chasing down connections. Now, but really what it boils down to is communications. It's all about communication. So because people are using 5 to 10 different platforms right now, Zoom over here, hopping for conferences, emails, what have you. Well, I'm like, why do you need 5 to 10? It's inefficient, right? It should just be one platform. And it should just be through this. So that's one aspect, is we created this AI matching engine, which speeds up the process. So, for example, we're able to take 1,000 matched investors per month, and very targeted, and we have all the analytics. So at least that out of that outreach to 1,000 investors, they're interested in this type of deal. It doesn't mean they're going to invest. It doesn't mean that they're going to respond or take a meeting with you or any of that. It means that instead of wasting all this time, you're actually getting directly in front of, right, the potentially matched investors. So that's one aspect of it. But I think I read this article last week. I don't know if you've heard this yet, but Bill Gates wrote an article, and he said moving forward is this is what's going on. Basically, business travel is 50% cut. It's not going to change. Number two, 70% of it, businesses, 70% of the employees will not come in the office for 70% of the time, only 30% of the time. And the third thing, which was the most important thing out of this, was that he didn't make any new friends this year, 0.
Wow.
Now think about that for a second. How catastrophic that. If Bill Gates didn't make any new friends this year, that means what's happening is he's working, he's busy, he's at home, his family, and he's talking to his own network. Now think about that. If you're a company, all the people in your company are not making any new connections.
Mm,
Investors, number one, but also business development, all this other stuff, how catastrophic that can be
big
for
time.
businesses, right?
Yeah.
How are you making new connections? I used to come home with
No, and the
stacks
problem
of
is,
business.
Rob, the problem is that the impact of it doesn't show for 2 to 3 years. And so by the
Yeah,
time you realize how catastrophic it is, like an accident, when a
yeah,
car hits you, that's catastrophic. But actually you realize it in a second. So you're like, oh my God, I'm screwed. The problem with this is you don't realize it for 3 to 4 years. So by the time
yeah,
you realize it, your company has failed and you didn't even know it had failed 3 years
yeah.
beforehand.
Yeah, because people are talking to who they know, and then and at the same time, they're not getting in front of them. So I have people on my phone, like that I've completely forgotten about that are contacts of mine just because I've been busy and whatever. So and I'm not making new connections. So I mean, I am now, but I'm saying typically, so because I'm also traveling and I'm also on my platform and so forth, but not like I was before.
Yeah.
So it's completely everything has changed, and a lot of people are waiting for things to go back to normal. It's not going back to normal.
No, never.
if
So your
you're
your
if you're
point
waiting for
is
that,
your point
you're,
is, and I wanna finish on this point because I think it's a tremendously important point, is
yeah,
that because we are not going to serendipitously build the relationships that we would have in yesteryear through the
yeah,
networking events, through the conferences, through standing in a metro station. Like I don't even talk to people anymore by a bus stop or anything in case I catch COVID from like 750 feet away, right? So because all of those serendipitous opportunities that would have come in the past, even just going to a bar in Beverly Hills and sitting in
yeah,
the bar in the knowledge that there may be somebody in that bar who is a high roller who might put money into a startup. All of that is gone and dead. That person you will never meet outside. You have to intentionally find the networks that you want to be a part of, and you have to throw
yeah,
yourself into those networks and try and get the same benefit from it. If you do it properly, you're going to do
yeah,
really well. If you don't do it properly or you don't do it at all, you're going to die. It's that simple. You're not going to be
yeah.
able to innovate. You're not going to be able to grow. You're not going to be able to build your network. And that will be directly proportionate to your company dying. So I want to say, look, I want you to have the final word on this because I know you got to jump and you got to get a plane because you're going from city to city. But number one, I got like 3 or 4 points here. Number one, I made a new friend this year, and that's you, Rob, and I'm
Yeah,
glad of it, right? And I am
absolutely,
grateful for it. I'm I'm
absolutely.
I'm going to
Yeah,
backdate my Thanksgiving to a couple of days ago, and I'm going to say I'm grateful for meeting you. Number two,
thank
that
you.
point on entrepreneurs intentionally building networks for all of them, and not just entrepreneurs, this goes for investors as well. If our deal flow sucks, that means our revenue sucks and our return on revenue sucks, whether it's for LPs or whether it's for ourselves. We need to continue to grow our networks in exactly the same way. So we need to intentionally be part of clubs that are going to help us do this. Goldfingr to both of you, entrepreneurs, investors, is a great, great, great community to be a part of. And Rob is an unbelievable steward for that community. And then the
Thank
final point
you.
that I want to say is that as all of us are trying to go forward and are trying to build in 2021, I want to throw something at you, which I know is very dear to Rob's heart, which is do it in a pay it forward and intentional way. So rather than just coming on his platform and say, hey, Rob, what can you do for me? I'm going to come in, I'm going to be on your platform. You've got me, I'm a big dude or dudette, right? Don't say that. Come on the platform and do what says on my wrist, which if you can't read it or you can't hear it, it says, pay it forward.
Yeah, I
Okay?
like it.
So get on the platform, pay it forward, be intentional, help other people raise on top of your shoulders. And as long as everybody else is doing the same thing, then the whole friggin' world is a better place. But just as importantly for you, your network of the types of people that you want to be surrounded with will grow.
Yeah. Yeah, and grow back, pay it forward with even seed money they call it, right? And it comes back exponentially tenfold. Um,
It does. How can people
and so,
contact you, Rob?
what's that?
How
I'm
can
sorry.
people contact you?
You can. The best way is our website is goldfingr.net, Goldfingr .net, no E in Goldfingr. You can also. I'm not really big on emails, so but you can email my team at info at goldfingr.net, no E in Goldfingr, and my team will respond. And if it's appropriate, then maybe we can set up a call. And yeah, the one thing I was going to say, in closing, what you're saying, Brian, is it's 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 not necessary, and it's actually a good thing. But I think it's actually a good thing that's happening because let's say before there's just overabundance of social meetings. Let's say if you go over a conference and you come home with 100 business cards, right? Well, how, and I was doing this on a daily basis, right? Almost, right? So, and you can't follow up with it because it's like too much. The thing is now, it's like if you can plug, like you're saying, plug into the right networks, the right people. It's not how many people you meet, it's who you meet. That's the thing. I mean, I used to be in commodities for a number of years. You can completely make it in commodities off one supplier or one buyer. That's it. I mean, I've done that, but so before, and obviously you want multiple, but sometimes it's just the one or two people. It's the 80-20 rule, right? Maybe 20% of the people do 80% of the business. You don't need necessarily math. You just need to connect with the right people, the right intention, that are successful in some way, right? And that are, working with you and collaborating, because small groups of people can move mountains. That's the truth. And then if you expand that, right, to, bigger small groups of people, then you can move, more mountains, right? So it's very, very, very simple. So, but yeah, that's.
I agree. I will add one last point. I meant to give you the last word, but I want to add the last word because I think it's important as well. The platforms such as Clubhouse have raised tens of millions of dollars on valuations of hundreds of millions of dollars. And what's happened is these platforms have become massively attractive investment vehicles themselves. I know, Rob, that you're raising a bunch of money. I believe you've already got pretty much like 50% of it lined up, of a $5 or $6 million raise that you're going to use to turn this into the greatest club on the planet. And I want to make people aware of it. So again, if there are investors out there, more than just thinking, hey, I want to invest in some of the companies on the platform, and they think, hey, I want to be a part of this platform. I want to be a part of something that's got 100,000 investors that are actually all engaged in pushing this thing forward, then you should also reach out to Rob as well. I think it's a phenomenal opportunity. He's a phenomenal guy. I love what's going on the platform, and just a big shout out. And look, safe trip back. Get your ass back over here soon so you and I, forget this virtual stuff, so you and I can have a beer, okay?
Thank you so much, Brian. I appreciate it.